Hello, and welcome back to the Ancestral Craft podcast. My name is Alexandra. If you've been here before, you'll know that already, and you also know that I'm a gardener and a crafter here in Edinburgh, Scotland. I aim for this channel to be a little place away where we can join and talk about lots of different things from crafting to folklore to gardening, nature, what have you. And my aim is to slowly explore the old ways of our ancestors in order to forge new paths and new crafts and new ways of thinking and doing things in order to live in better harmony with the world and the earth around us. Um, so I have been away for a little while. I last made a podcast on the autumn equinox, and now, for context, we are nearly at the winter solstice. So it's been a little while, not too long in the grand scheme of things, but perhaps a bit longer than I intended. Um, but all things have their time, and I'm a big believer in there's no point doing it if you don't feel that you're ready or that you're inspired to do it. So here we are. I feel inspired to make another episode for you and to catch you up with what I have been up to. I want to send a thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon. It's a big help, and without it, I wouldn't be able to create content like this that I want to share with you all. I am using a new camera, so bear with me if things aren't perfect, if things are out of frame, or if the audio is not quite right. I have tried to acquaint myself beforehand with how things will work, but tech is a fickle thing and we will try our best. But thank you to everyone who allowed that to happen, because it makes my life so much easier having a good setup that I can just press record and get going. So I'll catch you up a little bit on what I've been up to. I have been doing a lot of crafting, but it's been a meandering. It's been a slow time just winding through different hobbies and picking up projects and putting them down and feeling inspired by new things and ripping things out if they no longer give me joy. It's just been a very intuitive time, and I have some finished objects, but I have a lot of different projects that I've just been slowly working on. And I think that really reflects this time of year. It has just been a bit of a slow turn of the wheel, just slowly getting back into my body, allowing myself to rest a little bit. Autumn's a very interesting time to be a gardener. I'll say that. It's perhaps a little bit exhausting, quite hard on your body. It's cold, it's rainy and windy. It's perhaps not um, the idea you have when you want to be a gardener. You probably imagine working out in the sunshine, planting things, but the reality is it's more raking paths and moving soggy leaves and things like that. But yeah, it's been a joy to be able to be outside and to really notice the darkening of the days. And I personally really love this time of year when things get a bit darker and it forces you to really slow down. I've been really loving it this year, and I should have some time off in a couple of weeks. I'm going to take 2 weeks off for Christmas, so there'll be a lot of knitting going on, I imagine, to keep myself busy whilst I'm at my family's. And yeah, what else can I say? I've been slowly trying to change my work, so I have been busier learning. I've been doing a lot of studying for some herbalism things and for some gardening, no dig, organic study. I don't really know how to explain it, other than I'm applying for some different jobs to grow vegetables instead of doing a lot of ornamental gardening, which is what I do currently. I studied at the Botanics here in Edinburgh, and then I pretty much went straight into horticulture and working a lot with pretty plants, but I love the useful ones, the ones that have stories that go back years and years and have very funny names and smells and tastes. And I love to interact with plants, and I think working with our native species and with veg and things that we rely on to live, I feel like that brings me the most joy. So I'm probably going to be very busy next year as I transition into that line of work. It'll be a new thing, but I'm very excited. And I'll probably share more about that in the new year. But that's where I've been. I've just been slowly crafting, slowly connecting with people, and allowing myself that change of pace, and knowing that it's totally okay to take a little bit of a rest sometimes, to spend a weekend walking about instead of making, and feeling less attached to making as my my personality, feeling like it's not attached to my identity, perhaps. I am so many things. Everybody is so many things, not just one. So, yeah, I reckon we should probably just get straight into it. I do have a fair bit to share, most of it a little bit anecdotal, perhaps. Lots of knitting, lots of spinning, and a few acquisitions. And then I will be sharing the winner of the midway point of the Feathered Friends make along, which is nearly finished, really. There's another month, well, 2 months, 2 months to have a finished object and post it in the Ravelry thread. But I will be giving away some things that have been lovingly donated by some wonderful makers to a lucky someone. So stay tuned for that. And I guess we will start with some things that I have finished. Love the taste of sea buckthorn. So I'm trying to remember where I left you guys last time, and I think this was the first thing I finished after recording, and I believe I said in that episode that this would be my focus until it was finished, and I stayed true to that. I did focus on it. This is the Caldwell vest by Stephen West, and this is a waistcoat. Try my best to get it all in frame. You'll have to forgive me if the lighting is not bright. We are relying on, this is, believe it or not, peak sunshine, peak of the day, coming through a window, and then I have the lights on just to get a bit of lighting in here. But we are, like I say, nearly at the winter solstice, so there's not much light here in Scotland. And this is quite dark, so that's probably not helping. But this didn't take me too long to finish after I recorded my last episode. Try and get some nice close-ups. It turned out so beautifully. We've got a little thread. Oh, didn't tuck that end in. And it has pockets with cable detail. And I added these Lilliput white toggles. I'll show you the back. I spoke a lot about this in my last episode, so if you want a lot of the details, then please have a look at that. It explains the construction in that one, but this is done using Wool Centrum 2-ply sport weight in the colour, I think it's just called Brun. It might be light brown instead of just brown, but I think it is just brown. And yeah, I will have links and everything. But yeah, my partner loves this. I would find a way to show you, but I don't have any pictures of him wearing it. But perhaps the plan is on the next episode he might come on and share some of his knits and his projects and things I've made for him, and I'll get a little live try on going for you. But yeah, this is the Caldwell vest and it's really lovely. It's got a button band that you pick up and knit. So you pick up and knit all of this, which this was probably the most successful button band I've ever made. Usually it takes me a couple of attempts to get the right amount of stitches picked up so that it lies properly, but this worked. And then you also do the same for the armholes. You have to pick up and knit a little bit of ribbing. So there's a lot of little details on this which I love. And I also love the way the toggles play with the brown. It's a very earthy, little forest gnome feeling to it, like you've come out of Lord of the Rings or something. But yeah, my partner loves this, and so do I. It's a very successful knit. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's softened up beautifully. It's only been blocked. It hasn't had its second wash. But this has been worn a lot and the wool hasn't pilled at all so far. It still looks really beautiful. So I would recommend Wool Centrum for really nice outerwear pieces. I knit the Aftonsol, which is in a past couple of episodes, using this yarn as well. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I realise I said Wool Centrum 2-ply. That was for the Aftonsol. I've got myself confused. This is Wool Centrum worsted weight. This is a worsted weight one. I was thinking this is a bit chunky to be fingering weight. But yes, worsted weight Wool Centrum. Really lovely pattern, really straightforward. Can't really say much more than that. It's just a really great gift for someone. It knits up fast, but it looks like it takes forever, but it really doesn't. And the cable's super easy to remember. So that was my first finished object. My second finished object is, I think this is perhaps my only other finished object. Wait, no, I have one more after this. And you'll have to forgive me because I've worn this a lot. When I say a lot, I mean a lot. So yes, it is pilling a little bit from its first intense wearing, but I'll give it a wash and it'll be fine. But this is the Versaille by Albiona McLaughlin. I need to get some tags to figure out the front and the back. But this is a very simple construction and a very simple style of jumper. I knit this in Nutiden in the colorway Hofta. Like I say, pilling on the bottom there, but other than that, I have a video of me wearing it outside because I had a feeling that it wouldn't be bright enough to show you how beautiful this color is. So I'll insert a clip of me wearing it now. So this pattern is knit, I want to say in 4mm needles, and then, or is it, I think it's 4.5 actually. I think it's 4.5mm for the main body, and then you go down to, I want to say, 3.5 or 3.75 needles for the ribbing. So there is a very drastic difference in gauge when you go from the ribbing to the main body. And all of the ribbing is knit on the smaller needle. And it's a very interesting effect. It looks beautiful. And this pattern is very adaptable. I kind of did like a boat neck construction. I really like that. I wanted it to be high up to keep me warm, but I don't love having lots around my neck. I don't know why. Perhaps I get too hot if I have that, or I like the option of having like a shawl to wrap around my neck. But yeah, and I kind of like the way it frames your neck when it's a boat neck construction, and you'll see that in the video I put in. There's no point trying to like put it on over what I'm wearing. But yeah, it's a really, really lovely jumper, and I think if you don't want to spend lots of money on different patterns, but you want a lot of different jumpers, this one's so good because of all the variations you can have with the neckline. You can change the sleeves, you can change the length of the body. Um, it really looks like a different jumper every time someone's made it. So if you look on their Ravelry project page, like all of them are so different and equally as beautiful. So I'm gonna make loads of these, I think, in the future. Maybe not straight away, because I do like to break up my knits a little bit, but it's just so comfortable and it's a basic jumper. And I think basic jumpers you just can't go wrong because they go with absolutely everything. And I really like it tucked into skirts or over some trousers. Like it's just so versatile. Like even now with what I'm wearing, I think it would go well with just a nice skirt. It's just really effective. And yeah, I love the color. And it's like a beautiful tawny olive kind of color, but it looks a bit beige on camera without the natural light, but I'm sure you could see a more accurate representation without all the pilling. I did try to wear it not as much until I'd recorded, but then I realized it would be a little while until I recorded, and yeah, I couldn't help myself. So I did. So that is my second finished object. Um, my third is a completely new one. This was not planned. I was watching, I can't remember which episode it is, but I think it might just be called The Library Shawl on Heather Nolan, who is Oleanak Knits on YouTube. She has this pattern called the Library Shawl, and she was asking for test knitters, and I said yes. And yeah, it's my first test knit actually. I don't usually do test knits because I don't like knitting to deadlines. I find it stressful. I'd rather not commit myself. Like I can't do it. But I loved the look of this shawl. It looked so cozy and warm. So I thought I would give it a try, and it was a bit different to what I'd tried before because it's knit with herringbone stitch, and I don't know how well that's going to show up. But it's a really beautiful stitch. And it's a very long shawl, so I can't really do it in one span, but it's very long. And it's not too deep, but it's got a raised bit that will go around the back of your neck, and then it slopes down like that. It's a very simple construction. I would say it's simple. How do I describe it? I had a lot of problems, but that's because, yeah, it wasn't, the herringbone stitch wasn't incredibly intuitive to me, and I really struggled. So it's knit, you cast on at the bottom, and then you knit to the top. But when you get to about here, or is it this part here, you start to do German short rows, and that's what makes this raised bit. And I was having a lot of trouble keeping the stitch pattern for the herringbone stitch whilst doing the German short rows, and it was harder for me to see the double stitches because herringbone kind of has that natural two stitch joined together look. It's really hard to explain, but I had some trouble, and I also had some trouble getting the cast off to look nice, so it's not the most beautiful edging I've ever done in my life. It's a bit rough. But I decided to just cast it off and be done with it. I am really happy with it. It's knit in Manchelope, which is a Portuguese yarn by Wool Dreamers, I think it is. And this is an unspun yarn. This used two, like, not skeins, two plates, because it comes with a double strand. So unlike Nutidin or Plotalope, that has one single strand and then you'd hold two plates together. But for this pattern, I needed to hold two strands together, and Heather uses Plotalope with a strand of mohair, but I decided to make a really dense one with two strands of the Manchelope, which actually turned out really great. I do love the fabric, like it has turned out really beautifully, and it does wrap around lovely. I'll try to show you, but I'm limited on space here. So you could either wear it just around your shoulders like that, or you could just wrap it round 1,000 times. Like really, it's very, very chunky. But yeah, it's very nice, or you could have it around the front. I fold that bit in, the bit that raises around the neck, and then wrap it around that way. And just kind of tuck it into your coat, or wear it around the house. Just tuck those bits under. Yeah, it's cozy. I can't deny that it's really cozy, and it is beautiful. It really is. And it might be a bit surprising because the colour I used is grey. And it's not brown, it's not beige, it's a really beautiful, soft moonlight grey. And I want to say the colourway is called Gris Claro or something like that. It's, I think, the second lightest colour that they have. And I do love it. I kind of want to keep it, but my plan is to give this to my older sister for Christmas because she looks wonderful in grey. And I like grey. I'm kind of, I'll talk about it in a bit, but I'm going through a bit of a grey and blue phase at the minute, which is lovely. It gives me a break from my browns and my greens. But yeah, I really love this grey, and I have two skeins left. I bought 4 plates in total. I think it's only around £8 for one plate. So this shawl in total cost me like £16 in wool, which is just crazy because it's so luxurious feeling. Um, yeah, it's just beautiful. So I think this shawl pattern comes out on the 7th of December. And I do have a project page for it on Ravelry if you want to see some pictures. They're not the best pictures because I haven't had time to actually go outside, so it's just a picture of me standing by my window. But it gives a more detailed look at the fabric that it's made. And perhaps I'll put a little picture of when I cast this on. I got a really nice picture that showed off the characteristics of this wool in the sunlight. And I would say, compared to other unspun yarns, this is somewhere between Plutalope and Nutiden in terms of how strong it is when you're knitting with your tension. I'd say Nutiden's the easiest to break, and Plutalope is the most strong one of the three. This is in between. It's not incredibly breakable. However, because I was knitting with two strands, it was a lot stronger. So perhaps to get an accurate test of where it is compared to the others, I would need to actually, yeah, knit it with one strand. But that is my other finished object. I've sprayed some beautiful orange scented room spray onto it, so it smells delicious, smells like winter. So my sister will love this. I would love this, but yeah, sharing's caring. I want my family to have lovely knit things as well. So yeah, that is all of my finished objects. I now have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 whips, I'd say. Gonna take a quick break. So the next thing that I will talk about is the Feathered Friends Make Long. My work in progress for this is not what it was last time. So the last time I spoke to you about it, my plan was to make the East Wind jacket by Emily Foden. And I did buy the wool for it and I knit a sample. So this is what I came up with for my sample. It's knit in Jameson's DK yarn. Ooh, there it goes. Ta-da! Yes, it's knit. You'll have to forgive me, I'm very tired. In Jameson's DK. So this is the colorway Wren, and I'll try get a close-up of this for you. It's a brown, but it has some flecks of yellow and some beige in it. And my inspiration was the wren. And this colorway is called Wren. And I thought it was too perfect to miss. And I paired it with, I don't remember, I only have the one skein and it doesn't have a label. It's one of their natural coloured wools of the Shetland DK as well. And that was going to be my contrast colour of the two. And you hold it with a mohair, so I found one that matched, kind of, which was a Knitting for Olive mohair. And I do like it. And I did like the finished swatch. And it's basically just stockinette with the occasional 1x1 twisted, kind of like a cable. It is very nice. However, I can't really describe it other than sometimes when I knit a swatch and plan a big project, it's almost just like I don't know how to explain it other than it just doesn't sing. Like the swatch didn't sing to me, and even though I wanted it to be like a brown to kind of play off the browns of the wren, I think the problem was when I finished it, I realized it kind of blended into my hair, and it's not really, it looks very different on camera, but my hair is kind of like a light brown, although it has some auburn in it, which is kind of making it different enough on camera. But yeah, it reminded me of my hair, and all I can say is that's not a great, it doesn't feel great to be knitting something in your hair color. It wasn't what I imagined. And yeah, it's just not quite right, which is fine. So instead of ploughing on with it and just making it anyway, I'm sure if I knit big bits of fabric in this, I would love it. But if it doesn't sing to me, I'm not motivated to make it. So I decided to change bird, and I cast on the Madeline jacket by Sumin Kim, and it's a beautiful cardigan jacket thing. I would say it's more of a cardigan, but the way it's styled is more like a jacket. Again, it's not the time of year to show you this because it's just so dark. But I will try my best to showcase the pattern. I'm knitting this in Caithness Yarns DK, which is a really beautiful warm brown. And when I say warm brown, it just holds like the color of the earth. It's just really got a deep, beautiful color. And it's a Castle Milk Morit, and alpaca blend. And this is what I'm knitting. You can maybe see if I hold it at the right angle. It's basically a series of slipped knit stitches between purl stitches. There we go, that's a bit better. And then it has these wrapped bumps here and here as the effect, and that's the yoke. And the way you knit it is the button band is attached, so I won't be picking that up, which is actually a nice change. I'll be interested to see how that works. But it has just a very simple ribbed button band, and that's really showing off the colour beautifully. Do you see how chocolatey that is? It's beautiful. This is probably the darkest brown I've ever knit with, but I really love it. I was looking for a brown for so long at Perth Festival of Yarn, and a lot of them were they're more of a grey brown, and I really wanted that chocolatey brown, and that's what you get with Castle Milk Moorit. It's a really beautiful breed. Maybe I'll put a picture of the sheep here because they're really fun and cute. And yeah, I'd love to spin some. I think I have some raw fleece as a sample that I could use. I just haven't got around to that yet. So I have split for the sleeves, and I've knit about how much? Maybe like 2 inches afterwards. If it focuses. And yeah, I'm on my second skein. I have 6 of these. However, I don't think I'm going to need 6 because I've already done all of this with 1 and a bit, so I don't know. But the sleeves are a bit balloon-like. I'll put a picture of the pattern here so you can see what we're going for. But it is cropped, so I won't need lots on the body. But I've finished the pattern, so it's just a case of purling and knitting across different rows because it's knit back and forth. So it is literally just a very simple knit from now on. And when I pick up for the sleeves, I will be continuing the pattern for maybe like an inch. But other than that, it's just knitting and purling from here on out. So yeah, it's a very rustic feeling wool, but the alpaca softens it up a lot. And yeah, I'm just so excited to wear it. I can maybe try put it on over my ridiculously poofy blouse, which is not the easiest. And my cable's a bit too small, so I won't be able to show you the full effect, but it's going to, I think you bind off with a sewing needle some of these stitches to make the buttonholes. But yeah, it's a little, it's like, it's a little bit oversized, but maybe not oversized, just it's designed to be worn with positive ease. And yeah, I really love it. Again, lighting is horrible, but the camera is doing a great job figuring this out. So yeah, that is the Madeline jacket. And my bird of inspiration is the female blackbird. So female blackbirds are a beautiful brown colour, not too different from this. And what really was my inspiration was the patterning on this reminds me of raking leaves and also rain. So I think that these kind of lines remind me of raking, as in raking leaves, and these remind me, these little kind of wrapped stitches remind me of the rain. And if you garden at all, you'll know that one of the first birds to come out if you're raking or you're out in the morning and it's just been raining or it is raining will be the blackbirds, and they're looking for worms and they're rifling through the leaf litter. And similarly, when you're raking, they're the first ones out, kind of nipping little insects and things. So yeah, that's my inspiration, and it makes me very happy to think of all of the mornings I come in on a rainy day and see the female blackbirds just pecking little treats off the ground. So yeah, I'm really excited to finish this. It's probably my second priority at the minute. I'm working on two bigger projects. One is a sweater, one is this, and they have my attention for now, um, as well as a gift knit, which I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, that is the Madeline jacket, and hopefully this will definitely be done by February for the end of the make along. And before we move on, I will perhaps just say that if you want to enter the make along, you can still enter to win the end prize, which is to receive a painting of your bird of choice. I did bring along my sketchbook today, and I'll try and show you some pictures. So, when I was in art school, I made all my sketchbooks because I didn't like the paper, essentially, of pre-made sketchbooks. I wanted specific paper. There was a Fabriano, which is, I think, an Italian brand of paper. I love their paper, a very specific grade of paper that I like to draw on. So I made all of these, and as you can see, it's seen all the love and all of the times this book has been opened and shut and shoved in a bag. It's, yeah, but it has a little bookmark on it, and it's got this cover of, I think it's like marbled paper with some metallic gold. And I thought, I'm not going to show you much because I just can't, because it's, yeah, it's what artists are like with their things. But I figured I would show you a few bits and pieces to give you an idea of the style of thing you will get. I only have some sketches. I don't have any, it'll be a watercolor that you receive or something like that. I'll show you some examples of things that I've done in the past. Hopefully the camera doesn't blow this out of proportion. So this was my spread from when I went to the Netherlands. This is from a place called, oh God, what's it called? Zanzehans or something like that. It's a windmill kind of open air village museum thing. I want to say it's across the water from Amsterdam. So they have these beautiful old houses. So I sketched one of those. And then they have these beautiful coppiced or like pollarded trees. So I'll try and show you some of that. And I really loved that. I loved the windmills too. Maybe, I'm pretty sure I did draw one of the windmills if I can find it. There's so many memories in this book. There we are, here's a windmill. I can't remember which windmill this is. I think this windmill was in Haarlem. Yeah, Haarlem. And this was in 2019, so this was a couple of years ago now. What else could I show you? Yeah, a lot of this is anatomy stuff when I was studying in classes, so it's perhaps not the most interesting. It's very classical in style. I was really obsessed with the way artists drew eyes for some reason. And I really liked breaking down portraits and figuring out how different things are constructed. Here's a spread just from when I was studying ears, as you do. of all the different parts. Yeah, I probably won't show too much more of this, so I'm very much a sketcher. Like I love to paint, but I love to draw even more. I like to draw architecture, I like to draw trees and things from nature. Yeah. It's bizarre because this was a very, very big part of my life for a long time, and it's bizarre when things all of a sudden aren't. But I would really love to get back into some artwork and some drawing to share with you, and also to make a prize for you. This was one of my favorites. This is a copy of a William Bouguereau painting. I loved specifically like the pre-Raphaelites, and also I loved the Impressionists. So there's a lot of inspiration of that in this book. Here's one of my partner. I'll show you that one. Beautiful, beautiful partner. This was from lockdown, uh, which is a fun memory of you've got nothing better to do, so I kind of forced him into sitting for me. And yeah, there's just a lot of naturey stuff and sketches of trees and things like that. So yeah, I thought I would just show you that. And if you want to join, you'll be getting a piece of original artwork from me, which will be lovely. And I will also share the winner of this giveaway. So I went onto the discussion thread on Ravelry in the group chat, which there'll be a link below. You can still use the discussion thread to discuss. But I picked a random person. Well, I got my partner to pick a random person from there who had posted their work in progress to win some goodies. So this is what I have. The first thing is from the lovely Sue of Hawkshaw Sheep. She gifted this magnificent skein, and it's her Curlew base, which is Derbyshire Gritstone and Shetland. And this is a fingering weight, 300 meters per 100 grams. And it's a lovely grey. And Sue gifted this because a curlew is a bird, if you don't know. So she thought it was very fitting that this would be one of the prizes for the giveaway. The other thing is very bright. I almost like cringe back from having it in the shot. It's intense. It's beautiful. It's so soft. This is Dye Ninja. And this is called Eva's Lippy. And it's 50% Corriedale, 50% British mohair. And this was gifted to me by Perth Festival of Yarn. I believe a few podcasters were gifted this skein. It's so soft. It's so incredibly soft. And very festive, so I'm glad I held on to this for this giveaway because it is very festive. It's very loud traffic. So there's two of these full skeins, and there's also from Trava and Wool, which is a beautiful naturally dyed yarn company, and she also does these beautiful hand embroidered needle cases. So you'll be getting one of her embroidered needle cases. And yeah, you just put your needles in here and then wrap it up. And she was generous to give two of her embroidery, her naturally dyed embroidery threads. So there's that as well. So that is what I have to give away for this first part of the make along. And this is going to Linda Bannerman. I'll put it down below on Ravelry, and I'll also contact you on Ravelry to let you know that you have won. and I will get these sent off to you as soon as possible. So yeah, I look forward to sharing the winner of the overall thing for the painting, and that will end on the 2nd of February. So if you want to make something, please do that. There's plenty of time, lots of time over Christmas to make something. So yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about some other works in progresses now. I am working on, I need to put the needles back on this one too, bear with me. So my second work in progress is the Soiree by Emily Foden. And yeah, this is going to be my Christmas jumper. So on Christmas Day, me and my family, we usually buy pajamas. That's our tradition. And we wear the pajamas all day. So this year I am making a Christmas jumper instead. And I showed the swatches for this last time. I'm getting a bit caught up with the threads. And I will try get a picture in natural lighting of this colorway because it's so beautiful and it's not quite doing it justice on camera. But the fabric it's making is so beautiful. I love the cables and this honeycomb stitch. So yeah, this is the smallest size and it is slip stitches, 1 second. And I've knit this in, I'm holding it in my basket. I've knit this in Hawkshaw sheep. This is her Cheviot lace. Not her Cheviot lace, her Cheviot base. Her Cheviot base with alpaca. And it's called Clotted Cream. And she still has a lot of this left on her website if that's something you would like to get your hands on. And I am holding it with this Zakami Yarns Suri Fluff Suri Fluff Lace. I'm having a great time at the minute. And this is in oatmeal. That's the colorway, and it's a really beautiful. It's like mohair, but it's Suri alpaca, and it's a lot softer. And I don't find this as tickly on my nose, but together they make this really beautiful fabric. And yeah, I will put in some footage of this in natural light, if there's any natural light left by the time I finish recording this. But I will try my best. Yeah, so I've done a little bit on this. I haven't been working on this religiously. I picked it up last night and did about this much. It's quite a fast knit, but I'd been working on my test knit and finishing off bits and bobs. But now that I've decided this is my Christmas jumper, I need to get a wriggle on. And this is knit on 4.5 millimeters needles, I mean. And yeah, it's just really lovely. It's one of those really tactile projects that it just feels heavenly to knit with. And it's gonna be so soft and comforting in the winter. So yeah, that is my other work in progress. And it feels very fitting for the winter solstice because this really reminds me of a mountain hare. I don't know if you know mountain hares, but we have a lot of them here in the Cairngorms in Scotland. I think they are a bit endangered actually, but they have a white coat in the winter, but it's got this beige undertone, and it reminds me of that. So I like to think of the beautiful mountain hare when I'm knitting this. Here's a skein of the Zakami, which I've shown in previous episodes, but I'm almost out of my other skeins, so I have some to show you. It's a really lovely skein. Love it. Such a precious gift. Okay. The next thing I have to show you, this is the only other knitting work in progress, I want to say. Yes. This is kind of linked to spinning as well. So this is actually two projects, but the way I'm holding it is to show you is two on top of the other. This is, slide this off now. This is the interchangeable mitten liner by Emily Foden. And like I say, I'm in a blue mood. I'm really feeling blue, as you can tell by my little needle case that I use with this. It's just so precious. I just love blue. Time of year just for blue, when the sky is just so crisp in the evenings and in the daytime. It's just beautiful. And this is knit with trava and wool. This is her baby alpaca, silk and cashmere blend, and it's a cobweb weight. Like, it's very thin. Like, it's very, very thin. It's barely even worth showing you, to be honest. But actually, I do have this wool somewhere, and this is what I have left. So this is her indigo dyed one. And like I say, it's very thin. This is held double. So I had two skeins, so just like two skeins like this of the blue, and I wound them in a ball together, and I decided to knit the mitten liners, which use a 4-ply, and you get pretty close to a 4-ply with two strands held together. And I knit this. I didn't get gauge with the recommended needle size, so I think you're meant to use 2.5s. I used 2.25 millimeter DPNs. And it's just a really beautiful fabric because it's so delicate and soft with the cashmere and the silk and the alpaca. It's just such a delicate fabric. And I really wanted something a bit luxurious because it's going under a mitten, so it doesn't really matter if it's not the most hard wearing. So believe it or not, that is enough to make another one. I've weighed this, and yeah, there's plenty here. You could probably knit 3 mittens with 2 of these because there's 200 meters per skein. So there's enough to make a pair of mittens. So yeah, I knit the first one a couple of days ago, and instead of knitting the second one straight away, in order to kind of give myself a little bit of a break, because I don't really like knitting the second thing of something straight away, I decided I'd knit the mittens that are going to go with the mitten liners. So this is another Emily Foden pattern. I apologize, I'm a bit obsessed at the minute. And this is a bit of a spinning project as well. So in the last episode I showed you this, which is Nellie and Eve plant dyed fibre, and this is Welsh mule, which I think is a BFL cross something, maybe Welsh mountain sheep or something. And this is Summer Sky. It's a very light grey, almost blue. And I spun up I bought 2 of these, so this is one that hasn't been touched. I just thought I'd show you for comparison of fibre versus spun wool. And it made a really beautiful 4-ply. I just did a 2-ply wool. I don't know how well this is going to be to show the actual twist structure. It's going to be hard to focus. That does a decent job. This is probably the most proud I've been of a spinning project because it turned out really consistent and it really works beautifully with this pattern, which is the Persephone Mitts by Emily Foden. Let me I'm knitting these on DPNs. I've only done a little bit, but here's how it's knitting up. It's really quite lovely. And it's got a really even stitch gauge, which is lovely when it's hand spun. And these are very fun to make. It has a picot edge, which I've never done before until now. And it's just got so many beautiful details. Like as soon as you do the picot edge, you do a knit one, purl one straight away, and that gives that nice border. And then it's just some simple lace type detailing on the front. And then up the back of the thumb, there is a moss stitch section. And yeah, I think these are working up so beautifully. And the plan for these is to wear them with these mitten liners. So I think the colours are just so beautiful together. Obviously, this is more of a grey. This is more definitely a blue. I don't know how well you can kind of see the colour difference in this lighting. But yeah, I'm very happy. That's just my little project that I take on the bus with me. So once I've knit one of these, I'll go back and I'll knit the second one of these, and then I'll knit the second one of these. And then I'll have some lovely mittens. So it'll go on my give you a little try on. And I love how then it gives you that layered look of that blue underneath, and then these mittens on top. It's just, I don't know, this brings me so much joy. I love it. I love mittens. I'd really recommend using the Trava and wool for like a luxurious pair of mitten liners. Like it's just so satisfying. I have two in more of like a yellowy and a green that I might hold together to make another pair of liners for different mittens. But I'll keep them in my stash until I decide. But these mittens and mitten liners were just made to be together, I think. So yeah, that is that. Okay, so the light is fading fast. I have about an hour to wrap this up for sure, because it's nearly 2:30, and that's by 3 o'clock it's gonna get a bit darker, and then by 4 it'll be pitch black, so let's press on. So for spinning, I have prepped some fleece. So last episode I shared with you that I got a fleece box from the Woven Briar. She does quarterly, oh my God, it's so soft. She does quarterly fleece boxes from her flocks and from other local flocks as well. And the last theme was natural whites. And believe it or not, this was like the really caramelly coloured raw fleece that came in that box. I have a clip of me washing it, I think. And I prepared this as a roving. So it's woolen prepared. And I did this by carding about 6 bats, and then I put them on top of each other, and then I pulled from the end to get a nice woolen roving to spin from. And it was 100 grams of fiber, and I have 3 big nests of this stuff. So I have this, and then I have the other things from this box with me. This is the same fiber, so this is Portland. This is also Portland, but this is the one that she gave that was already prepared. So I have this much Portland, which will be about 200 grams. And then I have 100 grams of Exmoor horn, which is this lovely crimped one that I showed in the last episode. And then I have 100 grams of Jacobs, which is like a silvery grey. And Yeah, I mentioned that I wanted to use them in a project together. I think I finally decided I might do the Biche Bouche number 41, which is a beautiful shawl. And yeah, I think I would have enough to do that once I spun all of the ones I've just shown up. But I would need a contrast color for the border. I want it to be very subtle, the color differences in the main fabric, but I think it would be nice to have a contrast. So I'm not spinning this up yet, because the winter solstice box for the fleece subscription is due to come in the next week. And I think there will be a different color in there. So if there is a color that would work for the border, I will then decide on that project and spin it all up to do that. I have a feeling that's what I want to do. The other option would be I looked at the Stay Soft shawl, which I'll put a picture up of. I do like that one too. I do like how it has the panels of the different colours, but I would love it if they interplayed, and the number 41 shawl would allow me to do that. So let me know what you think. Maybe you have a pattern for shawl that you think would look lovely. It can be DK Sport fingering weight because I can just spin it up to the right weight. But yeah, like it's gonna be such a good project with all these beautiful natural colours. Um, yeah. And I think the theme for the next fleece box is Viking sheep. So there's bound to be some sort of Icelandic or maybe Hebridean fleece in there that I can use for the border. And that'll just be like such a cozy wraparound thing. Um, so yeah, let me know if you look at those and you think, aha, I have the perfect project. And I will do that. The other spinning project I have is, so when I first got my fleece, that's not how to say it. When I got my first fleece, I got a white Soiree, which turned into my veau shawl, which you'll have seen in the last episode. And I also got a naturally kind of brown fleece. Now, unfortunately, because it was my first fleece, I didn't know what I was looking for and I bought it online. And after learning a lot about spinning from a raw fleece, I decided it was just not suitable for spinning. So what I did, because it was all felted and it had so much scurf on the undercoat, so the only thing I could salvage was the longer strands of the guard hairs of the top coat. And this is the coat on jewel coated sheep that runs the rain off. Um, so I decided what I would do. This Borere is very tough, especially the top coat. So usually you would use the undercoat to get that soft fiber, but because that's not what I had, I didn't want to waste it. So what I've decided to do is I've been combing it up because it's too long for my carders. And it is making this beautiful salt and pepper fiber, as you can see. And this is going to be garden twine. So because it's too rough, I am not going to have any project that I can wear next to skin with this. It's just very prickly. So I am going to make some gardening twine from it and give it to people for Christmas who are gardeners that I know. So there's about 2 or 3 people I know that would love to use some wool twine in the garden next year. So I haven't spun this up yet. I'm going to finish combing all of it up this week and then I'll just spin a very rough wool because it doesn't have to be perfect. It's for garden twine, so I will literally just kind of speed feed it through the wheel and ply it together once, and then make some balls up of twine to give to people. So, it's really nice to find different ways to use up things because I don't like wasting. And maybe this fleece was just destined to be gardening twine all along, and that's fine. So yeah, that's my other spinning project. As you will have saw, that was a spinning project as well, but I finished that. And my other spinning related thing, might be a bit of rustling on this. is I got a Nellie and Eve spinning advent calendar this year, and it's lots of natural fibers. It's all the Welsh mule base that she dyes on, which is just beautiful. It has a very nice luster. Um, so at first, I was gonna try spin every day, spin the little samples. And this is how much you can spin from one of the days. It's not much, but let me stand up so I can show you this. This was day one, which was a lovely pink. Not a color I would go for, but still beautiful. And I'm spinning a sock yarn, so this is very tough and it's a very high twist. I've never spun a sock yarn before, so this was a learning process. Yeah, all I can say is that the way I did it is I spun the singles a lot, and then when I plied, I also over plied a little bit, and yeah, I got a sock yarn. So my plan is to make, where did I put the book? I want to make Emily's favorite socks, but in the Knits About Winter book, she has some variations with color. Here we are. So I'll show you some of the pictures. It's a bit glossy, so but these are the ones that I'm inspired by, which is when she uses 3 different colors. She uses 2 colors, one for the ribbing of the top and the sock, the toes, the toes and the ribbing, and then the heels a different color. Yeah. So I decided I would make some Christmas socks. And like I say, at first I was gonna spin every day to get all the colors. But then I decided what I would do is I would just spin up the colors that I was really inspired by. And I had some Nellie and Eve from when I bought the grey. This one's Alchemilla, which is a beautiful yellowy green. It's one of my favorite colors. And I decided I would spin this up. So I'm going to spin a sock yarn from this, and that'll be my base color to run through the whole sock. And then I've been picking out the days so far that I think would go nicely with it. So far this yellow that I got yesterday, I think would be a lovely one to go with. And also maybe as a pop of color, this blue that I got. Yeah, I've only got 6 days through, so there's plenty of other color options. So I'll focus on spinning this up, and then I can just spin on my drop spindle over Christmas when I'm with my family, some contrast colors to go with. Yeah, I haven't really decided, but I have day 6 with me here, so I thought I would open that up, and I apologize. It's not the easiest to open without making a sound. So this is day 6, which is a beautiful lilac. I've never done I do love this color. I'm not really a purple person, but I do like this one. So I've never done an advent, and I didn't really want to do one with skeins because I just had a feeling that I wouldn't use all of the mini skeins and I'd struggle to kind of find a project that would be cohesive. And yeah, I figured naturally dyed fiber that I could spin would be a lot more fun. And I love her base of Welsh mule, so no matter what I do, I'm sure I'll find something for these beautiful colors. So yeah, I will have some festive stripy like socks by the end of this. And yeah, that's all I have for spinning. So I have some little bits and bobs. I have I've been making a lot of lavender wands for Christmas. I had a instruction video on Patreon a couple months ago on how to make these, and these are, like I say, lavender ones. So the lavender is in here. You kind of tie a knot around the lavender and then fold the stems back on themselves, and then you weave a cage around them. So beautifully smelling, and these are great gifts. Yeah, and I wove it with some crocosmia. Really beautiful. And yeah, a lot of my family like these. My mum requested these for Christmas, and I'll give them to some friends. Just a little something. I'm not really a big Christmas person, but I do like to make things if I can. Just do what you can, really. So yeah, I've been making a lot of these. And like I say, you can get the tutorial for this if you join my Patreon. The next thing that I've been doing is, I think that's it. Oh, of course. I was looking around trying to find the last project, and I was like, I can't see it. I'm sitting on it. The last thing that I've been doing is I learned how to felt a fleece in order to make like a living rug. So instead of the sheep's skin, it's just felted on the back. And this was a gift from Sue of Hawkshaw Sheep a couple of, well, it would have been closer to like maybe 5-6 months ago. And this was a partially felted Ushant fleece. And I had it on the back of my chair for a long time, but I never got around to actually finishing felting it and washing it. So it was like a bit greasy, which might be a bit disgusting, but it felt fine. So I never got around to it. But all I did was I added some fiber that I had onto the back, and then I felted it on to give it some support. And then after I'd felted it, it went into the bath. I washed the coat maybe 3 times to get all the lanolin and the dirt out. And then I brushed out parts of it. And yeah, now I've got this really beautiful rug that I can just hide in and sit on and curl up beside, and it's really such a beautiful gift. I have another one that Sue gave me at my most recent visit. Myself and Rahima, who's a friend that came to the yarn retreat, we went along and helped her sort out this year's fleece. So we were skirting it, and yeah, it was really lovely. And she had a few felted ones that she wanted to get rid of. So I have a Shetland Cheviot that I took off her hands, and I'm gonna felt that up and give it to my partner's family. But yeah, this is really fun. I can't believe how simple it was, and I've been putting it off for ages and for no reason really. So yeah, I'm going to sit back on that because this chair is very uncomfortable without it. So yeah, here's some more lavender ones that I just found. They all end up looking a little bit different. Lavender ones. Oh, I do have one thing that is spinning related. Again, this was another gift from Sue, and I do have some footage put in of me with this fleece. Sue gifted me a Shetland Cheviot Cross fleece, and I'll show you some of the washed stuff. It does lighten up to this beautiful white cream. And yeah, I'll show you footage of this when I got it in its raw state. So I have lots of this, like lots and lots. And my plan was that I could make the Kerry Kyle blanket by Kate Davies. of the picture. And yeah, I don't know, something about that project feels like it would really work with this yarn. So I think it's a DK that pattern uses. So I'll spin up a DK in this when I get round to it. Again, I've got a lot of projects and life stuff going on, so I don't know how soon that one will be on the priority list, but I will spin that up and then maybe make that blanket, unless I find some other project for it in the meantime. But yeah, I have just so much of this, and it smells so good. And yeah, that was such a lovely gift again. So I mention Sue every podcast because she's just such an inspiration, and I think it's really, really important to support local businesses, especially when they do such amazing work looking after sheep and doing a lot for this beautiful industry that we love. Um, yeah, so I have a couple of acquisitions, and that's me done now. It's been a bit of a long episode, I think, but I hope that you've enjoyed catching up with me anyway. If you don't like acquisitions, thank you for joining, and yeah, I'll see you next time. But for those of you that want to stay, I literally only have two things, so it's not that much. I'll start with the basic stuff, which I am making my beautiful mother a shawl for Christmas. Um, now that I'm thinking about it, it's very similar in color to the shawl I made my sister. But I'm going to make I think it's the Duberville shawl. Is that what it's called? Yeah. K-Test Duberville shawl, which is a free pattern, and it's a very simple triangular garter shawl. I needed it to be simple. I needed it to be quick because I don't have that much time. I'm not a fast knitter, but I really want to make my mum a shawl. So this is the Natural Fibre Company, Cumbria, and this is the colorway Blencathra. So I have 3 skeins of this, which should be enough to do the shawl. I'll just knit until I run out, really. And it uses 6mm needles, so I really do think this will be quite fast. I'm hoping it's going to be quite fast. So yeah, I'm gonna cast this on maybe tonight or maybe tomorrow. We'll see how I feel. Um, and yeah, that'll be a shawl for my mum. And I'll try take pictures before I gift that because there won't be a podcast episode before Christmas. This will be it until probably like early February. So yeah, that's an acquisition that I made for a gift. And the other thing is a gift. So the lovely Nina from A Crafter's Tale podcast, she naturally dyes wool, like yarn and fiber. And she sent me a box and she included this nasturtium fairy. And this is one of my favorite little nostalgic thing. I had so many books of this artist with all of her different plant fairies growing up. Yeah, when I saw this, I was like, we're just so similar in our tastes. And the most beautiful thing is the box she sent. She said she wanted to send me just some fiber, and she sent me like a whole box of goodies. And they all match the colors on this card, which is so satisfying. So she sent me, this is fox sheep, I think she said, of her naturally dyed wool, which is a beautiful green. I mean, how beautiful. That is just so my color. I think I might spin that to make socks. It looks like it would be a really good sock yarn because it's got quite a long staple and it's quite coarse. To show, but it is quite coarse, and I think that would make a really strong sock yarn. So she sent me some of that, and she also sent me 2 skeins of her yarn. and it's like a 4-ply, what does it say? 100% German Fuschka F yarn? Fuschka yarn? I don't know how to pronounce that, I apologize. But she sent these two beautiful colors. This is like a pumpkin color, and this is like a mustard, but like a muted mustard. And yeah, they turned out so beautifully together. And I think I have a sock pattern by Susanna from Trava and Wool that she sent me, which I'll talk about in a further episode. We don't have time to add that. No one wants to listen to me ramble for that long, but there's a sock pattern that is destined for this. I'm not sure about this one yet, but we'll see. And then she also, as stuffing, she sent me some fleece, which is the best stuffing. And what did she say this was? It's Jämtlands wool, which is a Swedish sheep. And it's so soft. So it's like a grayish white base. So that's such a beautiful gift, and it's so, so generous. I'm working on sending something back for you, Nina, and I'm very, very grateful, and I'm so happy for you and your new family member. So I hope you enjoy this winter. Yeah, so that's another thing that I got. And I think that's everything. I was going to talk about some projects that I am excited to cast on in the future, but I don't think I will because there's just not that much time. So I think I'll save that for the next episode in the new year. So I'm just popping on for a little quick update on something. I forgot to mention one of my makes. I didn't write it down because I thought because it was right behind me I would remember, but I haven't. So you'll have to forgive me for this little bizarre segment that I've added in at the end. But I went on a broom making course a couple months ago, just before Halloween, and I made this traditional Scottish besom. And I did this with, I went to a community garden where a wonderful lady taught us this for free and gave us the materials for free. And it's made with birch twigs. And you wrap wire around a bundle and then you sharpen a stick. This is hazel. Traditionally it would have been ash, but ash is a bit harder to come by nowadays because of ash dieback. So you sharpen the edge and then, well, you whittle it away and then you like force it into this tight bundle at the top and then you peg it at the back. And yeah, then you tie off however you like to get the shape you want. So I did like a flat triangle shape. And yeah, now I have a beautiful besom that sits behind me and protects me, and it's very useful. If I had a garden, I would use this to sweep leaves off the grass or perhaps to tidy up my front porch or something. I don't know. But I definitely wanted to show you this because it's very seasonal, and yeah, I was a bit disappointed when I realized I hadn't told you, so I quickly put it on even though it's dark now, but hopefully you can see this just fine. I hope everyone is having such a wonderful time and that winter is treating you well, or if it's summer where you are in the southern hemisphere. Yeah, I will be working for another couple weeks, working pretty hard, and then it will be my winter break. And I'll be knitting on all of the projects that I just mentioned. And yeah, in the new year, I have some plans for some sewing and for some naturally dyeing, for some natural dyeing, some plant dyeing, we'll just say that. Some plant dyeing of some quilting projects, perhaps. I have a basket here of dried heather, which is probably quite festive. Some lovely dried heather. And that is destined to be dyed with for a quilting project, which I'll share in the next episode. But I hope everyone has a lovely Christmas or a Yule or winter solstice, however you choose to celebrate. I hope it's filled with family and coziness and your loved ones. And yeah, please do consider joining me on Patreon. I'll be making a winter balm, like a salve, a herbal salve, that I'll be posting this month. And yeah, it's just nice to have you there to join for knit nights over on Discord or something like that. And as always, everything you need will be down below, link to my website where I'll have all my show notes. Thank you for joining me for another episode. It's been lovely to catch up with you. I think it will take me about a week to recover my voice after this. Take care, and I will see you soon. Bye now.